Okay, so it's this kind of morning. I've been talking for 5 minutes with my mic on mute. Okay, yeah, I clearly need a lot more coffee. It's the cold medicine. I don't know. Just, well, suddenly I glance over and I see the light flashing, and I'm like, no, that didn't just happen. It did. Okay, so recap what I've been blabbering about. I have a cold. I feel terrible, but I'm here and we're gonna do this. This is what I started on last week, and we're gonna continue working on it. I was just going through some other pieces that I found that I'd like to incorporate in to the collage part. We'll work on some more layers of watercolor. We'll work on some layers of collage. Drink some more coffee and try to make it through in one piece. Oh my goodness. Some days are just not, just not my day. Hmm. Okay. Anyway, maybe if I actually start working on art, my brain will start to wake up and I'll start functioning a little better. Let's go with that. All right. So my first thought, getting into watercolor, is I'm gonna do like a layer watercolor. Then while that dries, I can move on to some elements on the side, and then once that dry, goes back to another one there. That's my thinking. So I'm gonna start doing a layer on here where I'm gonna add some cool tone shadow areas. So I'm going to mix up some, I'm leaning towards purples for this area, I'm thinking. So I tried to add a light over here on this side, so you could see a little bit better my palette colors and things, so hopefully that's a little better than it has been. I spent a lot of time messing with the webcam too, so hopefully I'm not as washed out or as yellow as it had been before. I messed around with that quite a bit, so incremental improvements. Getting there. Slowly but surely. And I have spent some time researching studio lighting, not just for recording, but also for like things that will work for both recording and for just working on art. I think the light that I have immediately over my desk, that needs for sure to change. It's literally just a clamp light. I can actually show you, it's ridiculous. All right, try to not break it. You see this? This is my light. It's like a $10, not $5 clamp thing with a bulb in it that I'd originally bought to be like a grow light for plants. Now that I've messed up everything again. Okay. That's what I have currently because I have a floor lamp off to the right here, which doesn't really work. And so it's just like a mishmash and Mod Podge of random things and little bulbs here and there. So I need to actually like put together a plan, get some lighting here. This is also a little warmer than I'd prefer to have, and I think that comes across when you see my painting. It's like I need a more like daylight, neutral light. So I've been thinking about that because I'm also thinking about just resetting up my studio space in general. So all of those things, in theory, I'd like to be working on. I was thinking about making an IKEA run to get the lights that I'd like to use. But I mean, that's going to very much depend on how I like feel through the day. Because I'm doing okay at the moment in terms of like I don't feel super terrible, but obviously I'm not functioning that well. First I was talking to the camera, but I forgot to hit the live stream button, so you'll miss that. So then once I turned it actually on and was talking with the mute button on, as I was saying, some days just not your days. Not my day today, that's for sure. So maybe, we'll see. Throw on the old mask and go out in the world, maybe, if I feel like I can handle it. That's what I've done when I've been teaching this week, is throwing on the mask again. I'll be careful. Don't want to get the kids sick. You know, there's certainly excellent chance that I probably caught this at the class, at the school. It's fine. It's all fine. Maybe while I'm working on the face, I can zoom in a little bit on it. Let me see if I can give that a nice sharpening. How does that look? The only trick is to remember to move it back when I'm not working on the face anymore. We'll give that a try. So I imagine, sometimes I'm thinking, like, I think a lot of people watch streams on devices, like, you know, your phones and tablets or whatever. So when I'm working on the whole painting and I'm doing some little detailed stuff, like, probably hard to see what's happening. I can only imagine that's a little defeats the purpose. And my reasoning. So really what I'm working on today is, with this layer, is to like define the shadows more. Like, I have washes of both a cool and a warm layer so far on this piece, but I definitely don't have like a lot of definition. It's really washes. So now I'm kind of like allowing some definition to start to happen, kind of clarifying where these shadows really are and the level of depth on them. And before I started, there was like, my cat has been just having a field day, spending all his time up here on my desk. So I did attempt to get rid of as much of the cat hair as I could. I think that I've done an alright job of it. Certainly better. Just nothing like making a really defined line with your brush, and then it picks up a little cat hair and just drags all that paint along when you weren't expecting it. It's okay. It's those unexpected things that keep it fun and exciting. I like this brush. This is a new brush that I just picked up from Blick. It is a flat angled brush for watercolor, and this is very nice in getting controlled fine lines and getting into the little areas where I can really control what I'm doing. Well, I hope everybody is feeling better than I am today. It's annoying, but, you know, a cold is a cold, and it is absolutely survivable. It's not the worst thing, it's just irritating. And I'm really about the worst person when it comes to like doing the things you're supposed to do to like take care of yourself when you're sick. I think a decent amount of that comes from the fact that like I have had forever chronic migraines since I was like a preteen, and they are so debilitating that unless I feel absolutely debilitated by what's going on with me, I feel like I ought to be able to be productive. And I also, there's like that good old fashioned like lack of confidence. What do they call that? I always lose this word. Imposter syndrome, where it's like I feel like I need to be super productive all the time to prove my value, prove my worth, like make things happen, try to be making things happen. If I'm not doing that, I'm not working enough, I'm not taking it seriously enough. Like there's all those kinds of things that are very, I know, unhealthy approaches and attitudes, but knowing that and behaving differently for it are two different things. But I guess self-awareness is half the battle. Perhaps. All right, trying to move this up as I work my way down. You know what? I'm just gonna get rid of this. Oh, this banner down there. There we go. That buys us some space. I don't know if anybody has like given a lot of thought to like, expectations that have been put on them in their lives, or whether or not directly that have been, or maybe just like internalized as what we're supposed to like behave as, accomplish, whatever it is. Some of that is pretty subtle, but it does affect all of us to some extent in our lives. Hard pressed to find families that don't have some like underlying like expectations, whether that's, expecting your kids to go to school, which seems entirely reasonable, right? Expecting your kids to go to church, expecting them to have a certain type of career or not, expecting them to marry and have a family. And some of these things don't even have to be said, but they're often there nonetheless. But it's an interesting thing in the sense that can be so just normal that we don't take a lot of time to question it, to examine it. It just has always been there. It's just always like, it's so ingrained that we don't even think to examine it. do I really want these things, or am I doing them just because it's what you do? I think that can definitely happen in the sense of like wanting to start a family or have a house. These are just things that people do. These are just the things that everyone does. I guess I'm ready for it. Let's go ahead and just do that. So I always wonder about that. Because for me, I can only ever just talk about my own experiences, right? And that's certainly something that I struggled with and had to really evaluate and decide, why am I doing the things I'm doing? Is it because that's what I want for my life? And making those calls is hard. If it means like letting somebody down, maybe, or you think you're letting somebody down, makes things really, really hard. But it's worth the evaluation. Like major life decisions, it's worth taking some time to evaluate. Doing that is when I finally started to like feel okay with myself and where I was. And it was really hard because, like, how are the people in my life going to accept this? Are they going to accept it? Am I going to be ostracized further? Are they going to accept it? Don't always know. You don't always know for sure how it's going to go. But hopefully the people in our lives don't necessarily have to understand our decisions, but will love us enough to try to. But every family is different. Every group of people is different. It doesn't even have to be family. It could be community. It can be more societal. We still know that on a broader sense, people get judged for the decisions that they make in workplaces and towns and churches and whatever you may be a part of. All right, bring that down while I'm working on the forehead. Anyway, I guess that's my after school special for the day. Examine your decisions for your life, especially if it's like life-altering decisions. Just examine it. Are these my values or are these somebody else's values? And why? Doing the things that I thought I should stop talking, but doing the things that I thought I was supposed to do led me to make some really poor decisions that had very impactful, lasting effects on my life. So I would only encourage anybody to not, make the same mistakes that I did. I keep going back and forth in where I'm working and trying to remember to move my paper accordingly. So apologies if I am going off the rails. At least my mic isn't muted while I'm talking now. So, you know, you take the wins that we get. I will take it. Hey, back to my studio setup talking. I think I have an idea of how I can do the lighting much better, and also pretty affordably, because proper studio lighting can be incredibly expensive, and our condo has some things about how you can like installing lighting in the ceiling. We have no overhead lighting in any room but the kitchen, and I guess the bathroom, but it's just the ceilings are cement board. And so every room has been a bit of a challenge to light, especially because all of our windows are east facing. And in the main living spaces especially, there's like awnings over the windows. That's made things pretty difficult to try to get lighting good in rooms. Get it good. Somebody send help. And I'm also going to move around my furniture. That's something that I think I need to like set up a document on the computer and like measure the things and like have the little pieces are this size so I know what fits where. But I definitely think I need to change some things. News running. For how I work now. When I initially, every now and again, I change this. Like for a long time, I worked almost entirely digitally, like with illustration work. So that was how I set up my studio, and that made sense. But now, like I do stuff on the computer, but I'm not like doing digital illustrations anymore. So I did set up this drafting table when I started working a little bit more with my hands with things, and it's been a good help. But also I was working on much fewer and much smaller pieces too, and so this worked fine when I did that. I enjoy this where I've put down some oil pastels here and then you paint over it. It's like that wax repellent. That's kind of fun. Okay. Excuse me. I have a cold and I'm disgusting. Colds really are the worst. I mean, they're not the worst, but they're so unpleasant. This is a pretty watered down purple that I've been using for these washes. And I will yet need to definitely go in and do, like when I'm getting to the point of more detail work, I will need a little bit more saturation. But right now this works just building layers. Sorry, moving it back. Amazing I ever made it out of bed today. was probably a good place to stop this layer so that I can let this dry. And then I will move on to some more collage elements, and then I can come back to the painting again. In which case, I think I'm going to zoom us back out a little bit. Okay. Yeah, zoomed out. And a little coffee, a little sip of coffee. I wish it was hotter. Okay. Now, to the elements that I got out earlier. I think I was talking, I don't remember what I talked about when I actually had the mic on. This is old paper doll piece. See from the tabs, very like a set that was very 70s styled, and I want to use it in the like it's fashion as an expectation, like presenting for women, especially for presenting a certain way as an expectation of being acceptable. And oh, got a big chunk of dried gunk out of that. Ooh, maybe that'll actually work now. I haven't been able to close this thing for ages. Okay, I don't know. Okay, for anybody who's watching and hasn't seen my last streams, this is what I use. This is a neutral pH adhesive from Lynell. This is what I generally use for my collage stuff. Sometimes gel mediums. If you could see the hamster wheel in my brain right now, my hamster has a broken leg and he's just staring at the wall. It's just, it's all right. It's all good. Everything's fine. All right, get some of my adhesive down on this guy. I still need to, now that I got the top cleaned out so it actually fits on there right, I can go in and disassemble and clean out my nozzle so it starts flowing a little better, maybe. Excuse me. Okay, get that little brush over so it's coating everything. Don't forget the little tabs. As a kid, I didn't really understand paper doll thing. Like, what can you do with this? It's just flimsy and you can't play with these dolls. I was never a doll person though, anyway. Hated baby dolls. Creeped me out. I don't know, just that whole, nope, no baby dolls. Not interested. And I was like, I'm old enough to have been the Cabbage Patch generation. Like my parents going to the store to try to get that everybody must have thing, the Cabbage Patch dolls. I couldn't have cared less. Couldn't have cared less. Spots where it's not quite adhering down, so I'm going to just go back in and give it a little extra layer stuff. But that initial go did pretty good. Things are pretty well adhered. Doesn't take a lot, and when you're working with like paper, you don't want too much adhesive or the paper starts to ripple. And sometimes that just happens no matter your best efforts. Because paper's paper. Paper is paper. Deep Thoughts with Lynell Ingram. All right, that's down. And I also had, oh, here. I had the bag thing. So I'm gonna, it's quite large. I don't know that I'll use the whole thing, but I'm gonna start cutting it out and then trim it down based on where I'd like to put it and such. I kind of like the idea of including part of the arm. Bags are such a weird, I mean, isn't that kind of like the status thing for chicks to have the designer bag, I guess? I mean, maybe that changes and it's like for some folks now it's more having the Escalade or whatever ridiculous giant car. It's not the sports car so much, it's the giant car. But a status thing, like sports car, Rolex watches, these dumb expensive purses. I once had a boss at a job, a really awful job that I hated, who was really into this kind of stuff. She was talking to a coworker near me about bags, about their expensive bags, and you know, all giddy and excited about what. And me with my big mouth had to chime in, be like, whatever, I got my bag cost me $6. I remember that bag. I like that bag. I think it had maybe been from like the clearance rack at Old Navy or something. Or Target, or I don't know. This was a long time ago. I would swear to you that that was a turning point at which that boss started treating me like garbage. If I had to put my finger on it, I think that was it. We did not get along. She was kind of awful. I was in the wrong place for me. Like, that was not a job that I ever should have had. And she was the kind of person who, like, I don't like you. I'm going to make your life miserable till you leave. And she did that with people. Like, it was always a question of, oh, who is it now? Who is she going after now? Eventually it became me. I hated it there so much. I am not somebody who can do office politics. I have no desire to do it. I am terrible at it. I'm looking at the stream so I can see, like, when I place this. That's why I occasionally am like looking that direction is where my computer is, where I can see, like, without any latency what's happening. And when I'm looking here, I have my iPad here so I can keep an eye and make sure that I'm not messing up anything else, having the camera in the wrong place or whatever, right by the camera, the actual camera. Yeah. Maybe I'll just put the whole thing down here and a lot of it's going to end up getting covered up. I think that would be fine. There's going to be a very, like, pink thing going on, but that's okay because we're going to introduce everything else yet. All right. I'm contemplating. Is this good? Yes, we're going with that. Okay. Here we go again. I really need to clean up this nozzle because my cap didn't fit for a while. I couldn't get the gunk out of it. And so stuff dried in the nozzle and now it doesn't pour very well. And I, went at it with some tweezers and stuff to make it work a little bit, but it's still definitely not great. So I'm gonna have to, one of these days, open it up and pull out whatever's dried up in there. But at least my cap is fitting now, and that's a win. Try to keep it that way. There are so many things that you really need to, if you're going to take yourself, seriously, as try to be an artist or whatever it is that you do. There's like your tools. You got to kind of take care of them, right? In my case, for being a painter and etc., that's washing your brushes so you don't destroy your brushes and need to buy new ones, because they're not cheap. Nothing's cheap. So I used to be very terrible about that. I would just leave my brushes in the cup of water for like a week before I'd go back and, I'm just the worst brush offender. I've improved that greatly. But now it's things like maintaining my glue nozzle, my adhesive, all those things. Keeping the desk neat. I try to, after every stream, clean up this work area so that I could come in the next time and then I'm ready to go and work, or I can move things aside and work on something else and it's not a big deal, and then put it back. This last time I didn't touch a thing because I'm like, I know I'm coming back to work on this piece with all the same things, so I'm just leaving it out. I mean, I did wash my brushes. I did do that. But yeah, trying to do a better job of not being a slob. Not being slob, not being lazy. And it's not even that. Like, I don't think it's ever been exactly about being lazy. I have ADHD. I forget things exist. I step away from my desk for a moment and go do something else, and it won't occur to me. Even I'll walk past it and not see the things. Like, that's just my brain. So it's not like I'm an awful, horrible, lazy, disgusting person. That's literally like I am my own worst enemy. I'm working against myself. I'm definitely trying to be better. Okay, I wasn't sure that I was going to love how big this is, but I kind of love it. Definitely didn't want the face in there. I didn't want there to be like a full-on competing focal point of like another face. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure this is really down. I hear something moving a bit and it's trying to figure out where that is. Yeah, and this still could, just simply because of how big and open this is, become its own central focus point, but I will, by the nature of how I work, that will be addressed. Okay. I still have the flower thing. This is great because it's so like Georgia O'Keeffe-esque. You know, like it's about makeup and femininity, but it's also so very suggestive, and our sexuality certainly falls in line with the role of expectations that make sense in the context of this work. So I would like to include that. Like, this has obviously been very photoshopped in a weird way, but that works for me. So this will be a bit of a pain to cut out. You know what I'm really not good at, like drawing or painting? Flowers. Isn't that random? It's such a random thing. Really not very good at, I mean, if I'm looking at a reference, then I can, do okay, but it's just never something that I spent time or had interest in doing. So I just never really, I never got good at it. So, yeah. It's random. Like cars. I was not a kid that cared about drawing cars, so unless I have a picture to look at, pretty terrible at drawing cars. I was never interested in doing still lifes. And because I majored in illustration, it wasn't really much of a part of my art education. Like I did a couple in high school, one or two, like really one or two. And it just never interested me. I think now I get it more as an adult. I can like look at those things and be like, there's value in that. And so like I'm kind of challenging myself more to try some of those things that I never cared about doing before, just for the sake of like, just being a better artist, more well-rounded. But yeah, I still haven't like taken a vase of flowers, whatever. I still haven't like sat down in front of flowers and drawn flowers or painted them. And I probably should challenge myself to do that. I don't know. It doesn't interest me, but it can be made to be interesting. Find the thing that's interesting, make the thing that's interesting about it. Just have never taken the time to do so. I think a few years back, I started, like, I didn't feel like I was that great at figure drawing. And I actually surprisingly stuck to this for a while, where I was, every morning before I started doing anything else, I started with some drawing exercises where I would just fill up a few pages of my sketchbook with a bunch of figures, drawing. This cold is really making me loopy. Yeah, drawing people, bodies, just doing it a lot. That's all there is to anything. Just doing it a bunch until it becomes less mystifying. I mean, I should really make a point to show like the difference in my work. I mean, from just a few years ago to now, like how much my work has changed and how much I've grown simply by the act of like doing things and like really focusing to like learn about something. And I think it's not just about art, but I don't know if anybody would be interested in me doing a little like breakdown. Here's where I started. Well, it's not really where I started ages ago, but I worked on so many different things over the years that trying to figure out what I was doing, what I wanted to do, always trying to fit some kind of expectation that I absorbed for myself without ever actually, hey, see that callback to what I was talking about earlier? The whole black sheep thing? Yeah, I should do this. This will make money. I should do this. This could potentially make money. I should do that because I have to have a career that pays the bills. And then once you start to actually be like, yeah, but what do I actually want to do? What matters to me? What is the thing that matters to me on that level that when I do it, it's like legitimately good because it's coming from something that matters. And once I started to examine that, which was much more recently, then things started to happen. Then you start to get into some of that magic. Okay. Now where does this guy, where can you go? Where will you go? And I'm just about reaching a point too with the collage stuff where it's like, okay, I need to start getting in there with some paint and textures in those layers and start building it all together. I think I might do, before I glue this down, all right, just a moment, let me think. Okay, I might do a background wash here with some watercolor. And I'm thinking greens. Does that seem crazy? Probably just because there's so much like red tone and pink starting to happen. I don't want it to be like Christmassy. That is definitely not what I'm going for, like the red and green straight opposites. So maybe like bluer, something more intense. Something like that, maybe. There we go. All right. I'm gonna lay this down. Move some things out of my arms, which, cat hair. Always with the cat hairs. You think you got them. They're nefarious. They turn up everywhere. Keep those edges wet. All right, I'm just gonna let that lay it out a bit. I'm not too worried about like how nice it is. Oh gosh, you can't even see what I'm doing. I'm not too worried about like it being a perfect wash because a lot of it will get overlapped, covered with things. And I will work on something to use for, I would like to do some transfer print on this piece. Yeah, you're gonna see there's been some adhesive from gluing things down where it doesn't take, but it doesn't matter at all. Like it really just doesn't matter for this. It would be a very imperfect thing if I was trying to have like a perfect watercolor painting, but that's so not what I'm doing or how I work, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, as I was saying, I'm gonna find something I can demonstrate a transfer print next time I'm working on this. So that will probably be Monday night. So I can show you my process for doing a transfer print on top of this. And it will be a 2-session thing. Like at the end of my work time on Monday, I would take and like put it down on the piece, do the adhesion for the ink to transfer. And then the next time, so probably a week from today when I'd come back to this to maybe hopefully be finishing it at that point, I'll go through how I remove it so you can kind of see the whole thing because it's got to sit for at least a day. That's, yeah, I'll probably make a little bit of a mess for myself because that's sitting on there for a couple days, but you know what? It'll be fine. It'll be fine. just that little bit of. Okay. Yeah, none of the imperfections in this wash matter at all. I'm just laying down something. This cold is the worst. Oh my. No, it's not the worst. So many things are worse. It's just annoying and uncomfortable. And I could really use a warm up of my coffee. I should probably be drinking tea, but yeah, it's just not as much a tea person for sure. It's this guy. He's very dark. Like compared to everything else, you could see like how much black there is in here, how deep the color is. So it's gonna matter where I put it. And it could be over here. That could work. At first I was thinking of having it up here, like kind of going off the paper. No, I think I actually kind of like it down here. Just keep filling up this space here a little bit. Maybe I can allow the top to have just a little bit of breathing room compared to what's happening over here. And then I've got some, not quite black here, but there's black here, and there's some dark in here and here, so it doesn't stand out too much as being like so much darker than everything else. Oh, a little stem right to the edge of the page, that works. Okay. And this is dry enough, I think, that I can do this here. Okay, here's another go with my adhesive. There we go. Come on. Come on. Come on. I'm probably going to try to force myself to go and do my IKEA run today just because like I'm really impatient and I hate to wait when I decide that something needs to happen. Must be now. It's in my brain now. Has to be now. Otherwise, next week I might forget and never return to the idea. Yay, ADHD. But yeah, it's very much going to depend. Like, after I finish streaming this, I'm going to give myself a moment and do work on some drawing stuff where I could just like kind of sit and relax and work on some drawing things I need to do. And then I will decide, maybe like after lunch. Maybe after lunch. I haven't been to IKEA in ages. It's one of those places that can be a real nightmare to go to. But middle of a day on a work day, this is a beautiful thing about being like self-employed or working random hours like I do. Combination of both those things. Being able to run errands the hours that other people are not out doing that stuff. Like going to Schaumburg IKEA on a weekend is probably a nightmare. But if I can do it like today at like 1-2 o'clock in the afternoon, I can probably like swing in and out of there relatively quickly with what I want or need and just be done. Okay. Actually picking up a little bit of the paper there, which is a thing that can happen with this type of newsprint. It's not newsprint, magazine paper. It's very flimsy. It's very cheap. So that happens very easily, and it's really hard to like not get the rippling with this paper when you adhere it down, especially when it's going over layers of stuff that's already on there. But it's none of that is a problem for me. Just layers and layers of texture. Nothing needs to be perfect. Nothing about this is about perfection. In fact, like the entire point of the piece is kind of anti that. This has kind of become my go-to adhesive brush. I think this might be one that I got in a set of brushes that were from some of my dad's old stuff. There was one set where they were all like this. I think this is probably, I just pulled it here, like hog hair maybe. So it's very rough and can stand up to some abuse, but it's not going to be a nice brush to paint with, particularly in terms of like doing, you're certainly not going to get much detail work out of something like that. So this is the kind of brush that I would put to be something that I can abuse a bit. And so yeah, it makes for a perfectly fine adhesive brush. And this stuff washes, like if I'm taking care of the brush, I'm putting in the water right away. It's not a problem. Pardon me while I die. Okay. And given that, this might be, okay, do I want to do another wash? I should do a second wash before I give it today. Okay, so let me think. All right, what I'm going to do is add some of the pink tones into the face. So like anywhere where natural flushing occurs, well, I mean, of course, the cheeks, the lips, the nose is often has some pink in it, under the eyes, the throat area, like things like that. I'll add a little bit of like a cooler pink wash, and then we'll let that dry. And we've been at this an hour, give or take, and that's probably about a good spot to walk away. And then next week it'll be much more like detail work here, finish, like layering in a lot more here, and then that will probably be 2 more sessions to completely finish it. And I'll do the transfer print, and I'm going to decide if I want to do any like I did with the Bowie piece that I finished on stream. I incorporated some little toy bits. If I'm going to do that, I need to decide very soon and figure out what that is. Some like assemblage elements. Okay, so to do that, let me start with, I'll clean up a little pan here. Spot to mix a nice clean pink color. Right, that'll do. And I'm gonna go, this is some nice shade. It definitely calls into some of the other pinks that are going down on here. I'm not going to have it be too saturated. So nice watery. And what I'm going to do is for especially the cheeks is I'm going to go ahead and pre-wet the paper there a little bit. And some of the other places that I know that I will be laying this down. So I don't necessarily need this to be like a hard line. So anywhere that I know that I'm going to put this, I'm going to just wet the paper a little bit. Okay. All right, so I'm going to use then a smaller brush, something a little softer. Nice and wet, pick up the color, and then when I lay it on here, it's wet on wet, and it's just going to kind of diffuse, so it'll be very subtle. Here. Zoom it in a little bit again. chin line and on the neck. Yours always have a decent amount of pink, and I'm just getting that full wash. I didn't pre-moisten that. And then that around our horn, the brows, along the hairline a little bit. Okay. And this might seem weird, but I'm going to add a little bit into the eyes. All right. And there we have it. So I'm rather pleased with where we are so far on this guy. All right. I think we'll call that it for today. I do believe. All right, yep. I'm pleased with what I've accomplished here. Feeling pretty good. The things that are left on the face is really just getting down to like some detail work for the most part. I'll decide at getting close to that point, like how I feel about any more washes. Yeah, but it'll be a lot of this, details, a little bit in the horns. And actually though, you know what? Before I do call it a day, I would like to do a little bit, one more layer on the horns with some maybe, I don't know why the browns in this palette are kind of the worst to work with, but it's fine. I always get them going. Okay. I will add a little bit of like some neutral tone into there for our shadows. So that doesn't, that's funny because once I put it on the paper it looks much warmer than I anticipated it looking, but that's fine because we can always do more layers. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely be building more on their bad boy to really work it up, and then towards the end there will be like more detail work to be done on there too. You can add a little bit of that tone on the forehead there, let it kind of bleed out a little bit so it connects. All right, now for real. For real. Done. All done for today. Thank you for keeping me company while I ranted in a stupor of a cold and cold medicine and worked on my picture. And yeah, hopefully you guys keep with me. I have at least 2 more sessions to go before this one's done. And we're getting there. Oh, did you hear that? Hi, Watson. Come on. You wanna come say hi? Look who's here. Oh, Watson came to say hi just in the nick of time. Yes, there's my good boy. There's my good boy. He usually comes to get me if he's getting hungry, but lunch isn't for another hour. Not for another hour. See everybody? You say hi? You say hi? Hmm? It's my good boy. Sweet guy. He is the official channel, Paint Fumes channel mascot. Yes, you are. You're very cute. Yes, you're very cute. Anyway, I don't think he's going to get his tail in here and do any painting for me. He'll just get more cat hairs in my palette. So yes, as I was saying, I will let you guys go. Have an awesome day. I hope that you have some creative energy to put out into the world. And I hope everybody's feeling not having colds like I am. Stay healthy. And see everybody soon.